Hello and welcome back to Confidence After Cancer. I'm your host, Gabby Mottershead, and in today's episode, it's going to inspire you in the most empowering way. I am thrilled to introduce my guest, Joy Huber, a woman who truly lives up to her name. Joy is the founder of Travel with Joy TV, and she's on a mission to help women discover the confidence, freedom, and pure joy of solo travel. After surviving stage 4 cancer at just 33 years old, Joy made a powerful decision. She wasn't going to wait for someday to start living her life. She turned her hard earned lessons from years of treatment into a joyful, purpose driven life. And that included traveling solo all over the United States and beyond. But Joy didn't stop there. As women began reaching out to her for advice, she realized that many of us crave adventure and independence, but we don't always know where to start. So she started teaching women how to travel alone, safely, confidently, and joyfully, no matter what their age, stage, or health history. And so in this episode, we talk about overcoming fear, rediscovering confidence after cancer, and how solo travel can be a powerful tool for healing and growth. So, if you've ever thought, I'd love to go there, but not on my own, this conversation is absolutely for you. So, let's dive in and learn how to explore boldly, travel safely, and live life fully with joy. And today, my very special guest that I'm very privileged to speak to is the lovely Joy Huber, joining me from across the pond. So I'm in my little bedroom in Manchester and I'm speaking to Joy. So welcome, Joy, to my podcast. It's so good to speak to you.
Thank you so much for having me on. I am a fan of your show, and the more episodes I listen to, I thought I have to plead with her to have me on as a guest so I can speak with this fabulous human. So, really a delight to be on with you today.
I'd really like this podcast to be about your story, how you've ended up doing what you're doing now, the journey that you've been on, because I think it's really inspirational. And like me, you face some dark times, but I think some good's come out of it as well. And that is inspirational. It gives people hope if they're going through a dark time, because nothing stays the same, as I believe. And you can always take something good out of a bad situation. And I think you're living testament to that, Joy. So I'd love you just to tell your story of how you ended up doing what you're doing now.
Thank you. Well, I'll try to keep this condensed and we can go into further detail about the interesting parts. But basically, I would say my journey has been unexpected.
Yeah.
So we plan for life to go like this, and where we're on this upward trajectory. And then it's not so fast. There's going to be ups and downs and
Yeah.
peaks and valleys. But where my journey, where I'll step in, is at age 33, being diagnosed unexpectedly with not only cancer, but stage 4 cancer. And I
Wow.
had lymphoma. I had non
Oh,
Hodgkin's lymphoma. I squeezed that part in my neck where they checked a bulging lymph node, but found cancer spread all throughout the body, like I said, being stage 4, major organ involvement. Now, that was 2010. Here we are. 15 years later, that shows us the advances that have been
mhm.
made in cancer treatment and how
Yeah.
much can be done. Part of that treatment plan or process is your spirit, your attitude, how
Hmm.
you choose to respond. I think we got
Yeah.
to be
Yeah.
realistic and say you won't be joyful about cancer every day, but I tried to have more good days than bad.
Oh, that's beautiful. And I love your name as well, Joy. So 2 weeks ago, I went on a day retreat with my lovely friend Lynn Meadowcroft, and she runs Louise Hay style retreat. She's a Heal Your Life teacher. She got out some cardboard and pens and sticky things and said, right, ladies, I want you all to write an affirmation, something you want more of. I picked joy. I want more joy in my life because who doesn't want more joy in their life? And I've manifested joy into my life, into every day. I'm looking at my affirmations saying, yes, I love my life. I feel joy and I am blessings surround me. And I think I'm really into the power of the mind, the power of the spirit. The medics that treat you when you have cancer are amazing. The advances that have been made in cancer treatment. But part of my journey was really mind, body, and spirit. It wasn't just taking the chemo or having the surgery. Really, what affected me and changed my life so much was the way that I thought about spirituality, and I thought about my own self-love has come out of this as well. So I'm hearing that through your story, Joyce. So tell us a bit more about that.
It's like the universe has drawn us together to put a dose of joy out there for those that are facing cancer, fighting, or really whatever obstacle you are facing. Because, like I said, life is unexpected and we've all got something, right? Every single person
Mhm.
listening right now can think of something. So I found the research, the growing research and body of evidence on the power of the mind body connection. And often our thoughts become things, or what we think about, we end up manifesting, like you
Yeah.
did with your joy
Yeah.
card. And such a powerful example, but that's what we end up bringing into our life. And so, don't get me wrong, at first at diagnosis, I'm certain I did have that. A little bit of that pity party. And I think that's very natural because you have to give yourself time and grace to
Mhm.
mourn the loss of your health or your
Yeah.
life as you knew it unfolding. And I think you have to work through those stages of grief of you may
Mhm.
be mad about things that aren't happening now or sad, and you have to mourn that and just come around to accepting. And what I realized with stage 4 cancer is, sorry, I get a bit of emotion still bubbling up, but I
Yeah.
realized that someone may tell me that I have a very limited amount of time left. We're not meant to be here forever, for eternity. We all have a limited amount of time. And
Yeah.
that hit me just 33 years old, or young, as I like to say. And it
Yeah.
just hit me though. If you only have a few months or a few weeks, do you really want to spend it moping around, feeling sorry for yourself, having the why me pity party? Unfortunately, I realized what statistics tell us about how many men and women will face cancer in their life. I
Mhm.
started thinking, why not me? This happens to so many people. There's nothing special about me that says I should be immune from this difficulty. But realizing the old adage of laughter being the best medicine, I thought, surely we can find humor here and that fine line between laughing and crying. And I ended up authoring a book out of it. It's called Cancer with Joy. Of course, a
Wow.
literal meaning because I'm your guide to facing cancer, but figurative too. What we discover is no one is happy. They have cancer. But I think,
Yes.
like you found too, you can have cancer and still be happy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, of course, there are really dark times. And if you're facing a stage 4 diagnosis as well, that's the news that nobody wants to hear. I was stage 3 and I'm shocked by that. And I think as well, the shock of the diagnosis is something that a lot of people underestimate, because it is like a bomb going off in your life. You think you're on a path, you think you've got everything mapped out, and then this bomb gets dropped, and it's like everything that you knew to be true isn't true anymore. You've got plans for
Exactly.
retirement or plans for what you're going to do in 10 years' time. And then all of a sudden it's, what if I'm not here in 10 years' time? And I know that's true of everybody, really. My diagnosis made me realize tomorrow's not promised to anybody. But
Right.
particularly when you've got that serious diagnosis and you're in front of a doctor with a very straight face telling you this is serious now and we're going to do the best, but there's no guarantees. And yeah, so you do go through that process. I hear that a lot from other people. The anger, the pity,
Yeah.
why me, and the bitterness that can be with cancer as well. But I think it's really important to, as time goes on and you work through that, to not stay in that dark place, because life is for living. I believe that there's no point in being bitter about what's happened or regret for what you've lost. You can't change the past, but what you can embrace is today. I believe that.
Exactly. I love that. And you're probably familiar with that phrase, whatever happens to you in life, you take it and you either get bitter or you get better. And so
Yeah.
think about that obstacle and how can you allow it to make you better? What lessons can you learn? One of the most powerful lessons I found is just getting that perspective, that precious perspective that I feel grateful to have found at such a young age of 33, but
You
just
really can.
realizing that, like you said, tomorrow's not promised to any of us, and realizing the clock is ticking. And I think it does put our life in perspective about, have I done what I set out or wanted to do? And if not, I found I hadn't. And I thought, the clock is ticking. You better get busy living here. And then I think we move beyond just surviving or beating it, but to truly thriving. And just like you've done, such a beautiful spirit you are, but doing this podcast, being devoted to putting your energy, your positivity, your knowledge and experience out into the world, you're doing so much important work for the betterment of so many other people.
But my whole world changed in so many ways when I got that diagnosis. But one of the most beautiful things was the generosity of other people that helped me. And as I went through the process, I thought, I just need to share what I've learned, because I learned and I studied hard, because they told me my cancer had a high rate of recurrence. And I was like determined, no, I'm going to do everything that I can. I'm going to study nutrition. I'm going to look at wellness. I'm going to look at mind, body, spirit. It was exhausting. For 2 or 3 years, I was like a student studying for a master's degree in wellness. And then I thought, all these things that I've learned, I want to share this with people, because everyone should know this information, because the medics, and they're amazing at getting you through the treatment. But then it's like, off you go now, back to your old life. And I thought, I don't want my old life. This is what made me sick. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, I can definitely resonate with that. When you start thinking
Yeah.
about, if I go back to doing what I was doing,
Mm.
that's what led to this disease or condition. And right,
Yeah.
so it's like, what lessons can I take from this? What can I tweak going forward?
Yeah.
I know I made changes in, I would drink some pop or soda before. You start
Yeah.
looking at that high fructose corn syrup, artificial flavoring. You're like, there is no nutritional value to this. My friends they probably can't recall the last time they saw me drink a pop or a soda or however you term that. But yeah, you introduce more vegetables. I do a lot more with fruit and vegetable smoothies. And you think about
Yeah.
that exercise and activity,
Yeah.
even in middle age, if it doesn't have me as thin as I'd like, maybe it's like, for your health, it's good to break a
Yeah.
sweat. And like you said, you look at all aspects, from the mind body connection, but also the activity you're getting, the nutrition, how you're fueling your body. So many important pieces to the puzzle to fill it in.
Love that as well. And I think as well, one of my friends said, oh, you mustn't blame yourself for getting ill. And I thought, it's not about blame. This is about taking responsibility. I'm not just
Mhm.
going to present myself to my doctor and say, fix me, give me a pill. I want to be active. I want to be involved. I want to be responsible for my health. Because when you get that diagnosis again, for a while, you are out of control. You've got no control about what's going on in your life. You turn up for your appointments, you have the treatment, you do exactly what you're told. But for me, it was
Yeah.
about taking back some control of what I could.
Yeah.
I can control my diet, I control my activities, I can control my thoughts. And it's took me a long time to learn that.
I
Yeah.
love this. Yeah, I can just see exactly why I was drawn to you, because in my book, one of my chapters was do's and don'ts at diagnosis. So, what are
Uh,
the things that I did that were mistakes that I don't want others to do at this difficult time? Or what are some things that I didn't do that I missed that I should have? And one thing I actually said is, do control what you can,
mm,
because so much during this time will feel out of your control. For example, my hair loss at my first chemotherapy treatment, the nurse said, oh, you have pretty hair. She said, now that will come out. She said, have they covered that with you? You're going to completely lose your hair. And I'd been told, but I think I buried my head in the sand, or denial. And I realized, oh, yes, it is going to happen. So we cut my hair very short, and it was actually really cute. And I really liked it. And I thought, don't like this too much, because it's going to come out. Don't get too attached.
yeah.
And it did. It began coming out on my pillow. I remember those days trying to vacuum the hair on my pillow, and I was crying. And I took a hair
Yeah.
loss shower, and I was like, no, this is way too difficult, where I really had a little breakdown or just a sobbing, because all my hair was laying on
Oh,
the tub drain when the stream of water hit my head. And again, you think, gosh, how can I control, or what sense do I have when this traumatic thing is happening? And to turn my trauma into, dare I say, fun, what I found is as a woman, how hard it is to change your look. If I color my hair and I don't like it, or cut my hair, I have to wait for it to grow out. And I just reframed my attitude or my perspective, how I looked at it. And I thought it will never be easier to change my look. So we went and had my head shaved. And when I have this basically blank canvas, then I got wigs that were short hair, long hair, different colors,
Love that.
different styles. And I actually held an online fashion show where I modeled all these different looks. I said,
Yeah.
the hair is gone. It's been very traumatic. I said, but we're facing cancer with joy, trying to find the moment. So I said, friends, please review all the different looks in this photo album and vote on the best new looks for me. And it was just such a powerful and positive way to transform that trauma.
Oh, that's so we could talk all night about this, but I think that for a woman, particularly, the way that you look and the constant reminder when you're going through treatment of, oh my God, goodness, yeah, every time you look in the mirror, that's a sick person looking back at me. So I love that you took some control, you made some fun out of it, and I'm sure there were tears and laughter. It's good to have that balance as well.
And it was such a great way for friends to chime in because
Mm.
so many, one of my male friends, he said, I'm not touching this because he said, I won't say it right. And then everybody will jump on me for not being supportive enough. But I said, just tell me your favorite. Do you like me as a redhead? Just weigh in with the favorite. And it was a way to, it almost made my hair loss fun because it was such a great way for friends to give me support and encouragement because they would weigh in and say, you look good as a redhead. Or they would say, oh my gosh, I love this super short style. And it gave them something to chime in with. So it's just about that power of positivity and being creative in
Yeah.
how we face those roughest, toughest moments.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love that. You've brought all that action into it and thinking about other people as well, because sometimes it can be you trying to put that brave face on for your friends and family and you don't feel brave. So laughter and humor is a great way to break that down, isn't it? And break those barriers that sometimes you think nobody knows what I'm going through. But if you can reach out to people and make it a little bit of fun, that's a great thing.
Right.
So I'd love to talk to you as well. I know that one of the things you do, because you're an author and you've got your book. So we'll put a link around the show notes. We'll put the link to how people can get in touch with you, how they can read your book. But tell me about solo travel. What's that all about?
Yes. So when I overcame cancer, 3 years of chemotherapy, and being acutely aware of the clock ticking for all of us, I thought, what is really important to me? And for me, this will be individual to everyone. For me, what surfaced was experiences, not things, not stuff, but going places and having experiences, taking that sunset horseback ride in the mountains and seeing that orange glow as that ball of fire sets, or taking the cruise and going, hopping on a train, or maybe going to a winery and having a bit of little rosé or a little tasting. I found that I would try to align schedules with family, and they'd say, that third week of the month isn't a good time for me to be gone. I have payroll at work or whatever. I would talk to my friends. I would want to go someplace. They weren't interested in going. I was begging people to go places. And it dawned on me, what am I waiting for? The clock is ticking. My life is ticking down. One day I actually felt my heart beating in my chest, and it felt like the countdown on New Year's when we say 10, 9. I thought, oh my gosh, your heartbeat is counting down your life. And it was a terrifying
Yeah.
thought. At the end of the day, we have less time to live, not more time. And so I decided, if it doesn't work for family or friends, why don't I solo travel? And I embarked on prioritizing going solo. As women, we are often putting everyone else first. We're taking care of everyone else's needs, and our own dreams and desires are dying with us because they're not being fulfilled. So I began solo traveling. I got flooded with women whether they're divorced or married, but wanting their own getaway, or
Mhm.
sometimes widowed. But they said, how do you solo travel? How are you confident? How do you plan a trip? How do you pay for it if there's no one to
Mhm.
share expenses with? And Travel with Joy TV was born. But that is what I'm doing today, is guiding more women to live a full and rewarding life, incorporating more solo travel so you can go where you want or do what you want when you want. And it's been very fulfilling.
Oh, that sounds wonderful. Absolutely. I can imagine. I've got single friends and married friends as well who are getting to a time of life where they think, I don't want to do what my husband wants to do. I don't want to go on the same old holidays. I'd love to see different places. I can imagine so many women and people reaching out to you because, like you say, I love to travel as well. I'm very lucky. I've been done a lot of traveling in my time, but still a lot of places I want to go to. So yeah, I'd really urge anybody who's listening to this to check out Solo Travel as well with Joy. Again, we'll put a link to how people can get in touch with you around these show notes. That's absolutely amazing. I love that, Joy. So you were talking, you got a big birthday next year and you're thinking about maybe coming to England. We need to
I
meet up.
just seeing you, and like I said, it's one thing to hear you on the podcast and then getting to see what a light you are. I am committed now to begin saving for a hop across the pond again. So I'm in the States in the US. I'm right in the middle of the US. Crazy climate right now. And so I think I need to take a holiday. When I had cancer, I was 33. And I thought, if I beat this, I'm going to get out of the country. I hadn't actually been outside the US, but when I turned 40, I traveled to Italy and went all over Milan, Venice, the Vatican, went
Oh,
to Rome, Pisa, the Leaning Tower, the Amalfi Coast, but I was really focused on
oh.
Italy. And I do have a crazy love of tea. I'm that person that the water has to be the correct temperature for the type of tea. That way it can
Right, right.
properly be created. So anyway, so England is actually high on my list. I turn 50 next summer. So see,
Oh,
15
wow.
years since being diagnosed with cancer at 33, 48 now, but I think I'm going to have to come so we can meet up, do a follow-up with
Soon.
all your listeners.
And you've talked about coming to England and look, with London, that would be fantastic, I'm sure. Is there anywhere else that you'd really like to travel to? Have you got
Um,
anywhere?
j- I've still a number of places in the United States. When I was growing up, my family didn't have quite as many resources, and we would do very affordable driving trips. We didn't all
Yeah.
often board a plane and fly away somewhere. So there's still a lot in the US I'd like to see, and a lot of Europe I would love to
Oh,
see. I
yeah.
believe my last name Huber is German, so maybe
Ah, yeah.
Germany or Greece or just so many great areas I feel. And again, I might need to get out of the US for a while. So
Yeah,
so I may
maybe.
be more of a regular in Europe. You can look for a dose of joy, but I just want to encourage women to live their life fully. And like I said, a lot of times when I'm coaching people, I say, start small. You don't have to start with your bucket list trip. If you're just starting, sometimes I even tell women, go someplace that you've been before, maybe with your family or your
Ah,
spouse or partner, but maybe you've done the kid things then. And
yeah.
this time you're going back, you have some comfort with that area, but this time you can do what you want. And it's good to notch those small wins or get comfortable. And then as you grow your confidence, you can expand where you want to go. So tons of tips. And like I said, I try to share those online too at Travel with Joy TV on some of the social media platforms, but I know we'll share out all of that.
We certainly will. That sounds amazing. And I talked on one of my recent podcasts about the fact that I want to do different things. And one of mine was I love my home city, Manchester in the north of England. It's cold and it rains a lot, but I do love it. There's so much of the history that I don't know. And there's red bus tours around Manchester. I've never done that. And then I believe there's a walking tour where you walk around and they tell you all about the history of the old buildings and what goes on. I need to do that. And you've really inspired me to make sure that I make that happen quite soon because I've been talking about it. I need to do it. Yeah.
I know, and I tell people it's sadly we're all a diagnosis or a heart attack or a car accident away from a completely different life. And
Yeah.
it's unfortunate, but it's also important that we have that realization because with that, we have the power to act on it. And like you you said, you're going to take that walking history tour,
I
go
am.
sooner rather than later. And yeah, I know I work with women and I tell them, I say, hey, go out and do your tours and do your things during the day. And if you're nervous about being out
Mm.
after dark, don't just go out during the day. Get into your cottage or wherever you're staying, maybe get some takeout. And what a lovely time to have a cup of tea, have a hot bath, stream a show, journal, and reflect because you've got the peace and quiet without the children around. So there's a lot of things you can do and stay home or stay where you're
Yeah.
staying in the dark if you're not comfortable getting out. So there's a lot of modifications that you can make to make solo travel happen, but in a way where you're confident and comfortable.
Love that, Joy. Thank you so much. And I think that's a really nice thing you really just struck me what you've just said. And a really nice thing to finish on is sometimes you have to travel to come home to yourself. And I love that.
Absolutely. Oh, that gave me chills. Beautifully put. Like I said, this has really been an honor for me to get to be on with you today. So I am deeply grateful that you accepted me as a guest on your very important show because it's very impactful. You've reached me in the middle of the United States,
Wow.
and for that, I thank you.
Everyone needs more joy in their life. We all need to read your book. We need to look at your website. We need to get out there and travel. Like you say, it's a big old world out there, but it's sometimes just around the corner from you in your own backyard. There's beauty there as well. So, on that note, Joy, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a pleasure. And let's have that tea in London very soon.
I'm going to plan on it now. So let's plan on it here in 2026. We'll see you soon.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Thank you, my love. Bye bye. Wow, what an incredible conversation with Joy. Her story is such a powerful reminder that even in our darkest seasons, there's still room for light, for laughter, and yes, for joy. From facing a stage 4 cancer diagnosis at just 33 to becoming an author, a speaker, and fearless solo traveller, Joy has truly shown us what it means to take back control and write a new chapter on your own terms. She reminded us that a positive mindset isn't about toxic positivity or denying the pain. It's about choosing to look for light even when life feels heavy. Her insights on the mind body spirit connection and how cultivating joy can support healing was such a gift. I'm so grateful for this conversation. And her message about solo travel, that it's not just a holiday, but a gateway to discovering your own strength. And that's something that every woman deserves to hear. So, if Joy's words resonated with you today, I would encourage you to check out her book, Cancer with Joy, and visit her website, travelwithjoytv.com, for free resources, tips, and inspiration to help you embrace life, even if it looks different now. So, until next time, remember joy is not just possible after cancer, it's powerful, and you are allowed to chase it. Thank you so much for listening. As always, I would urge you to stay safe, stay sane, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye, my love.